Good evening. Hello and welcome, Rambler families, to our return to campus discussion. We're so happy that you could join us this evening. My name is Jane Neufeld, Vice President for Student Development, and on behalf of my colleagues, we want to make sure that we take a moment to let you know how much we appreciate that you've entrusted your college education and your college experience to us or your son or daughters. We take this responsibility very seriously. So we're glad that we're able to join you this evening so we can talk a little bit about what we can expect for fall of 2020. Loyola's been working very hard this summer to do whatever we can to mitigate the COVID-19 virus on our campuses and in our community. Our preparation is guided by the evolving health and safety guidelines, but we know as Loyola Ramblers and Loyolans that it's important for us to all care for ourselves, each other, and the community. We're all in this together. Tonight, we'll focus on what it means to be a student in the COVID world, what the student experience will be like, whether you're living on campus or in the neighborhood or remotely. So we're happy to share with you this evening the information that we'd like to share with you. We have over 1,400 reservations for this evening, so we've gotten a lot of questions in advance. We hope to answer as many as we can. If we have time in the end, we'll try to see if we can open or answer some questions in the live Q&A chat box. At Loyola, we really pride ourselves in fostering a sense of community and a deep and caring community. We know that this fall will be different. We'll need to adjust to the new normal. Whether you're taking your courses online or you're studying remotely, please know we will do everything we can to make your Loyola experience a memorable one. So thank you again for joining us. I'd like to introduce Dr. Will Rodriguez, the Assistant Vice President and Dean of Students, who will moderate our program. Will?
Thank you, Jane. Good evening, students, families, and guests. Welcome back to Loyola. My name again is Will Rodriguez, and I serve as a Dean of Students. But aside from my former role, I'd also like to share that I am an alum. I am a 2016 graduate of the PhD program in higher education. And like many of you, I am also a parent. I have a son who is a rising junior. I will serve as one of your moderators today. Erin Moriarty, Associate Vice President and Dean of Undergraduate Admissions, will also serve as a moderator, asking a number of questions. Today's session is structured based on the questions that you've already submitted when you registered for the session today. I'm joined by a panel of key staff members who will carefully try to answer as many questions as possible. Please join me in welcoming the following panel members. We have with us Deb Schmidt-Rogers, Assistant Vice President, Student Development and Director of Residence Life. We have Joan Holden, as of 4 p.m. on Friday, Dr. Joan Holden, Director of the Wellness Center. Congratulations, Joan. We also have with us Dr. Tiffany Taberi, Psychologist and Assistant Director at the Wellness Center. We have Marissa Lucchese, Director of Student Activities and Greek Affairs, and of course, Erin Moriarty, Associate Vice President and Dean of Undergraduate Admissions. We've identified a number of topic areas based on the questions that you submitted when you registered for the session. We will be talking about the campus experience, health and wellness, living on campus, and other general topics that may come in as we go throughout today's session. We will not have an opportunity today to cover finance and academics, but we will try to do so in the Return to Campus website and other avenues as well. Any questions that we don't cover today, again, the information will be added to the Return to Campus website. Before we continue on, I want to share that we're going to be sharing a lot of information with you. This will be a good time for any of you who want to grab paper and pen to try to take notes as we go along. I'd like to begin with a quick overview of where Loyola is, where Chicago and the state is. Both the Illinois and Chicago Departments of Public Health have determined that Chicago is currently in phase 4, meaning there is a continued decline of the rate of infection of new COVID-19 cases. That's within Chicago. However, if it is determined that there is a sustained positivity rate or significant outbreak, the City of Chicago could go back to Phase 3. At the present time, although the overall number of new cases in Illinois is slowly increasing, the numbers in Chicago are fairly steady. Loyola is carefully following the guidance of both Illinois and Chicago Departments of Health for each phase of their plan, and also complying with special guidance such as Chicago's emergency travel order. To reiterate, we're going to continue to follow these guidelines. What is most important or most impactful to operations at Loyola are their numbers in the city. Students, you'll be expected to abide by all of the health and wellness rules that will be established at the university, including wearing face coverings over your nose and your mouth. You'll be required to you're required to have your ID visible, whether you attach it to some piece of clothing or wear it over your neck with an ID holder. You'll be required to distance yourself physically from others. There'll be a number of rules along the passageways, limitations on where you can gather indoors, and there'll be occupancy limitations within spaces on campus as well. We encourage you to please monitor your temperature and your general health at all times. If you're ever not feeling well, please contact your doctor or the wellness center immediately. Everyone will be required to report positive COVID-19 tests. For returning students, remember the pledge you took with the student promise. You promised to care for yourself, for others, and the community. For new students, the student promise was created by students for students back in 2007. This promise remains a symbol that sets Loyola students apart because of the deep commitment to personal and community care and accountability. This concludes my part. I hope this information has already started to touch upon some of the questions that you have. At this moment, I'd like to introduce Marissa Lucchese, who will talk more about the campus experience.
Good evening, Ramblers. We are so excited to connect with you and get back to campus. We have several opportunities to engage with you this semester that will connect you to each other, give you access to valuable Loyola resources, and allow you to continue to participate in valuable Loyola traditions. The first thing I'd like to highlight is Welcome Week. Get excited, Ramblers. We've got a great Welcome Week planned. Welcome Week this year is going to be August 19th to the 28th. We have over 30 signature programs and events scheduled just for our students. I definitely want to encourage folks to sign up for our events and programs on Lu Community. Lu Community is our online engagement platform that will be managing all of our registered student organizations, as well as opportunities for you to sign up for leadership positions and gain access to valuable Loyola resources. I'd also like to encourage folks to consider joining a registered student organization. I know that it's a big concern for students as to how they're going to make friends this year on campus and also virtually. Joining a registered student organization is a great way to connect with your peers and also gain valuable Loyola resources. We have over 200 registered student organizations on campus, and that's also inclusive of our sororities and fraternities on campus, so we definitely have an opportunity for everyone. In addition to joining a registered student organization on Lu Community, our students will also be able to register to vote, apply for leadership positions, and access also resources on campus. We are looking forward to celebrating our commuter students and our resumutors on campus. I want to make sure I'm giving both of our student groups a huge shout out. Our commuter students are students who live in neighboring suburbs in the Chicagoland area who will be coming to campus for class or to participate in labs or participate in certain events on campus. And our resumutors live in Loyola's neighborhood but don't necessarily live with their families. We have events that are tailored just specifically for you that are going to focus on time management, acing the commuter experience, and also accessing each other in the neighborhoods that you all live in. I know physical health is also something that's really important for our students, so I do want to take a moment to highlight campus recreation. We are planning on having the Hallis Recreation Center available to all of our students during the fall semester. The facility will align with Chicago, Illinois, and CDC guidelines for fitness centers and will include enhanced cleaning and sanitizing of our equipment and our spaces. The facility itself will be accessed differently by our members via a new reservation system online and will feature modified hours, equipment, and services. For more information, you can head to the Campus Recreation website. I know that our students have been very active this summer, and it's been very important for us to meet our students where they're at. And we know a lot of you are living on Instagram this summer. All of our campus departments have created accounts on Instagram, and we've been very active as well, along with our registered student organizations. If you don't have an account on Instagram, I definitely want to encourage all of our students to start one and follow at Loyola Saga for our most updated events. We are going to be dropping our first round of Welcome Week events on Instagram next week, so definitely get excited about that. I know we have a lot of questions about in-person events versus virtual events. I am very proud to share that our departments and our registered student organizations and sorority and fraternity life have over 1,600 events scheduled for you this semester. Those are all going to be virtual, but we are also providing in-person events for our students as well. Our students on campus will be able to register their bikes, they'll be able to participate in movie nights, participate in smaller organization fairs, and also participate in other programs hosted by Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs, and of course, our registered student organizations. Those are all the updates I have. Turning back to you, Erin.
Great, thank you, Marissa. I think you touched on a lot of the questions that have come in as I've been reviewing the chat box and going through that. One of the questions that I was hoping you can maybe explain a little bit more is talking about the first year events and how those are going to be handled. I know especially for our new students and parents, really painting that picture about the campus experience is important.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. I think one of the biggest silver linings to this COVID experience is that we have come together as an institution and really relied on collaborating with each other. Student Activities and Greek Affairs, for example, has a very strong relationship with our first year experience. We are going to be promoting events that the first year experience has to tailor to our first year students. That's going to be around the Common Reading Book, discussion groups during Welcome Week, and other programs. But also we want to encourage our first year students to join registered student organizations. As much as our staff loves working with our student groups, we know that our students are really concerned about connecting with each other, and that's the best way to do that.
Great, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm going to turn it over to Will for our next speaker.
Thank you, Erin. Next, we have Joan Holden and Tiffany Tiberi, who will talk through what the university has done to create a safe environment.
Everybody, I'm so glad to be here tonight to join you, to talk to you about testing. I know that many of you have questions about testing for COVID-19 at the Wellness Center. The Wellness Center this year has identified 2 satellite clinics where we will be doing safe testing for students with suspected COVID-19 disease. One will be at the Lakeshore campus and one will be at the Water Tower campus. These satellite clinics are in addition to our regular Wellness Center clinics where we will see all other students that do not have COVID-like symptoms. Students who test positive for COVID-19 are required to report the positive diagnosis to the COVID-19 report at luc.edu inbox, or they could also report it to the phone number of 773-508-7707. Another question that people have asked is about other testing. We will be doing some targeted testing for students that are considered to be at higher risk. For example, the athletes, in accordance with NCAA rules, will be tested on a more frequent schedule than students who just would be tested when they're symptomatic. We also have plans to initiate a contact tracing protocol. We will have a contact tracing coordinator who will manage the contact tracers to help ensure that our campus remains safe. Students that get diagnosed with COVID-19 after it's been reported, we will have to initiate the contact tracing process to keep our community as safe as possible. I'd like to also talk just for a few minutes about quarantine and isolation. I know there have been a lot of questions about quarantine and isolation. Just in terms of the definition of terms to start with, When we talk about quarantine, we're talking about, in this context, exposure, where someone, that means spending more than 15 minutes with someone with the diagnosed COVID-19 without social distancing or wearing a mask. Quarantine students must stay in their rooms for 14 days unless they are sharing a bathroom outside their room, and then they can use that bathroom. Students that are in isolation are students that have tested positive for COVID-19. If a student is living in the residence hall and they have their own private bathroom and after a diagnosis of COVID-19, they can stay in that residence hall for the duration of their isolation. Students who do not have a private bathroom in the residence hall who test positive will be isolated in a residence hall that has been designated for students with COVID-19. This residence hall will be fully equipped with all the materials that a student will need to try to be safe. We will also have COVID care coordinators who will be helping our students and working with them in coordination with Wellness Center staff to ensure that those students that are in isolation get the attention that they deserve. A student will remain in isolation as long and according to CDC guidelines. One last thing I want to mention is that we have worked this past summer on developing a symptom tracker mobile application that students, faculty, and staff will be downloading on their mobile apps. This symptom tracker is designed for students to monitor their health first thing in the morning before they come to campus by checking their temperature and seeing if they have any symptoms related to COVID-19. We did that intentionally to try to just make our campus, again, as safe as we possibly can.
Thank you, Joan. I really appreciate it. I think there's a lot of questions, obviously, around the wellness. And before we move to Tiffany kind of talking about mental health, I did want to see if you could go over how would a student go about if they're feeling ill? How do they make an appointment with the Wellness Center? If you can kind of talk about the access there.
Because of the COVID-19 crisis, students will no longer be able to make online appointments for medical appointments at the Wellness Center. This is our intent to try to control the environment as best we can. So all medical appointments that students need to make with the Wellness Center providers should be done by calling the dial a nurse number, which is 773-508-8883. Students can also web book a dial a nurse call in order to gain access to that triage line. Students really need to call before making an appointment rather than walking in and looking up for them.
Great, thank you, Joan. There's quite a few questions too, just about mental health, and so I'm going to turn it over, Tiffany, if you don't mind speaking first, and then I'll kind of go through some of these questions, and we'll chat after you speak.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Dr. Tiffany Taberi. I'm a psychologist and assistant director at the Wellness Center. I'm going to begin by talking about some of the mental health services that are available to students at Loyola, and then we'll take some time for some questions. So the mental health team at Loyola's Wellness Center is staffed by licensed clinical social workers and licensed clinical psychologists. We also have one psychiatrist and a licensed therapy dog named Ashlar. So please follow the Wellness Center and Ashlar on Instagram if you haven't already. We are really proud to have a diverse counseling staff of different backgrounds and identities, and we have staff who are multilingual and can provide counseling in Spanish, in Mandarin, and in German, to name a few. Our services are included in your tuition and fees, and we do not bill or take anyone's insurance to receive services at the Wellness Center, and all of our services are confidential. So, consistent with other college and university wellness centers across the country, we offer a variety of services to students, including short-term individual therapy and psychiatry services. We offer crisis intervention, we offer group therapy, and a lot of different workshops on various mental health topics. So some students might have longer-term mental health concerns, maybe a pre-existing mental health condition, who might benefit from establishing care with a therapist off campus that they could see for as long as they want. And so one thing the Wellness Center also provides is what we call care management services, where we provide referrals and will help students connect with providers outside of the Wellness Center who accept your insurance. So the first step in scheduling a mental health appointment at the Wellness Center is to go to our website, and you can book an appointment online, or you can call our front desk and request a mental health appointment. The first mental health appointment is a 30-minute phone call that you pick the time, and then one of our therapists will give you a call and ask you some questions, get to know you, learn a little bit more about your concerns, and then we'll make some recommendations to you and help you make a plan that really meets your needs, whether that's short-term counseling at the Wellness Center, maybe a referral out, or maybe you want to try one of our many therapy groups at the Wellness Center. So since this past spring when COVID began, we have been providing all of our mental health appointments via teletherapy or a video chat, and that will continue this fall. We will have a few mental health providers at the physical location of the Wellness Center clinic each day to see students who maybe need an urgent appointment, they're in crisis and need to be seen in person, but all other mental health visits and groups will be held via telehealth this fall. I want to highlight two really important services, mental health services specifically, that our parents and students are sometimes really curious about. And the first is crisis services. So we are really proud at Loyola that our mental health team offers 24/7, 365 days a year mental health crisis services for our Loyola students and community. So during the daytime when the Wellness Center is open, one of our counselors is always available to answer questions, to talk to parents, or to see a student who might have an urgent mental health concern. But even if a student's maybe having a mental health concern or in crisis at 2 a.m., students can call our main number of the Wellness Center, which is 773-508-2530, and press option 3, and you can speak to a mental health provider pretty immediately. The other really important service that we offer at the Wellness Center for mental health is group therapy. Now, group therapy might sound kind of intimidating, but our students actually really love group therapy, and many of our groups fill up. And some students do group multiple semesters in a row. Last spring, we offered 16 different types of therapy groups for students, and this semester we plan to offer even more and additional workshops where students can learn things like coping skills and also can connect with other students who maybe are dealing with similar things. We know that right now, especially in the age of COVID-19, that a sense of connection and belonging is more important than ever. And we're going to be offering a variety of different groups. These will be on the Wellness Center website come mid-August, and you'll learn about all the different types of groups, the days and times that they're offered, and who to contact specifically if you want to sign up for a group. Just for example, some of the groups that we offer are on things like anxiety management. We have a freshman student support group to be with other freshmen and kind of navigate adjustment to college together. We offer several different mindfulness meditation groups and even groups that focus on relationships. There's no session limits to our group therapy program, and students can do as much group therapy as they like at the Wellness Center. So Erin, I think we'll turn it back to you for some questions.
Great, thank you. I really appreciate that information, as do many of our families, I'm sure, given this time. One of the questions that came in, and we always think about the Wellness Center as the students that are, living on campus. Because of everything that is going on and with the students that are living off campus, how can they access the Wellness Center? Are all of these opportunities still open for them?
Sure. So all of our providers at the Wellness Center, whether they're mental health providers or medical providers, we are licensed to practice in the state of Illinois. And so at this time, legally, we are only able to provide medical services, individual therapy, psychiatry services, other medical appointments to students who are physically in the state of Illinois at the time of services. So yes, a student could live off campus in the suburbs with their family, or even downstate Illinois, as long as you're physically located in Illinois at the time of your appointment, you can receive services at the Wellness Center. Now, if you're an out-of-state student who's maybe not coming to campus this fall, you might be eligible for certain services at the Wellness Center, and we want you to check our website or give us a call to learn more. There are going to be certain virtual groups and workshops that our out-of-state students might be eligible for. And also, if, for example, you live out of state and you need help finding an individual therapist or a psychiatrist in your state, you can schedule a care management appointment or any mental health appointment, and one of our counselors will help you find a provider in your state who is a good fit for you. So if you're not sure where to start, whether you're in state or out of state, you can always give us a call and we will help point you in the right direction.
Thank you. That was really appreciative. A couple questions have been coming in expressing concern about loneliness and the impact that has on a student's mental health. How can students prevent or cope with feelings of loneliness so that more significant mental health concerns can be prevented?
Yes, so us human beings, we are social creatures, and research tells us that prolonged social isolation can have a negative impact on our mental health, and it can contribute to the development of symptoms of things like depression or anxiety. And so, yes, whether you're a student who has a history of mental health concerns, or maybe you're just a little nervous about living in a single room and you feel like that might be challenging for you, one thing I would really encourage you to do is connect with someone at Loyola early, before it becomes a crisis. That could be a therapist at the Wellness Center. That could be a support group at the Wellness Center, a student organization, your RA, the Dean of Students office, before coming to campus, so that your support network is being established early, and like I said, before things turn into a crisis. You know, we all play a really important role in identifying students who are distressed or maybe struggling. And so one of the things that the mental health team at the Wellness Center spends a lot of hours doing is training our campus partners. For example, we spend hours training our residence life staff on recognizing the signs and symptoms that a student might be in distress or struggling, and how to connect them to Wellness Center services. So we're doing a lot of those trainings right now in preparation for the year. You know, I'd also say in coping with loneliness, good self-care practices such as staying physically active, you know, setting a schedule and sticking to it, doing meaningful activities, and staying connected to family and friends all help people cope with feelings of loneliness. And, you know, the last thing I would say to parents who are watching this is that you know your children really well. And so as you connect with them via text or FaceTime as they transition to campus, you can likely tell if they're not themselves, or maybe they need some more support. And so parents, you play a really important role in providing support, but also encouraging students to seek help when needed.
Thank you, Tiffany. I think that was great information and great reminders too of connecting and, you know, taking care of yourself and talking to additional people while they're on campus. I really appreciate your time tonight. Will, I'm going to turn it back over to you for our next panelist.
Thank you. Such important information. Thank you very much. Our next panel member will be Deb Schmidt-Rogers, and she's going to talk about living on campus. There'll be a lot of students who'll be living on campus this coming fall, and I think it's important that we hear from Deb Schmidt-Rogers.
I'm so excited to be able to join you this evening. Again, my name is Deb Schmidt-Rogers. I serve as Assistant Vice President and Director of Residence Life. I also am super fortunate in that I am a double Rambler, having received both my bachelor's and master's degrees from Loyola, although a few years ago more than Will got his doctorate. I know that this is a topic that is of great interest to so many people. And one of the reasons that I know that is because, just a little factoid for you, the Residence Life email has responded to over 4,500 emails just since the 1st of April. So we know that students coming to live on campus are eager to know what the experience will be like. Parents are eager to know that their student will be safe and that their student will find a community. Certainly, living on campus is going to have a very different look and feel this year, but we really hope, I really hope, that all students find their community and find their support network. Living on campus provides students an opportunity to interact with fellow Ramblers from all over the United States and truly from around the world. You will be able to learn things about yourself and will benefit from being part of a community of engaged learners who are as excited as you are to be on campus. Initially, all of the programming that Residence Life typically does, the movie nights, the bringing a faculty member in, the paint by number, yes, we do paint by number, the ice cream socials, all of that will be virtual. The lounges and the kitchens on our floors, the common areas, will not initially be available. We are, as Will said, really watching the guidance from both Illinois and Chicago Departments of Public Health, and it's important to us to be following their guidance. We certainly will reevaluate the use of common spaces as the year continues. Safety on campus continues, always has been, but continues to be our #1 priority in the residence halls. The majority of our buildings have a 24-hour reception desk. It is staffed by students during the day and by campus safety night monitors beginning at 10 p.m. The residence halls are all locked 24 hours a day, and students do need their IDs to enter. All buildings have at least 2 card readers between the outside of the building and the residential area. Some have 3 card readers. So we believe that with the assistance of our students who are paying attention to who they are letting in the buildings or who they are not, that safety will continue to be something that we pride ourselves on. I know that one of the questions that has come up most often in the COVID-19 support email group, as well as prior to this webinar, is tell me about the move-in process. I know that for many of you, you're probably feeling like move-in is 3 weeks away and I still feel like I don't have any idea what's happening. I can tell you that we in Residence Life have had moments of feeling like that too. As we are responding to changes in guidance, we have had to be nimble and have had to adjust our move-in process. If any of you are fortunate enough to have your second Rambler coming to campus, you know that one of the things Residence Life really prides itself on is our efficient move-in system. We are really hoping that that is the case this year, despite the fact that it will look incredibly different. Students who are traveling from the city of Chicago's quarantine order states will arrive on August 17th to begin their 14-day required quarantine. Now, this list from the city of Chicago is updated every Tuesday and goes into effect the following Friday. So please understand that if you are not on a hotspot state list now and your state moves onto that list, your move-in instructions could change very quickly, and we will communicate those to you just as soon as we are aware that they have shifted. Students who are in quarantine will have meals delivered to their rooms. We are currently working through the process because the process depends on how many of those students we actually end up with. As of this morning, we are just around 500 students from quarantine states. So figuring out how to get individual meals to student rooms is certainly a process that we are working through with our food service provider. For all other students, messaging went out late on Friday to your students' luc.edu email address. More specifics will be coming out this week with opportunities to sign in for move-in times. This is something new that we're trying this year, and we hope that everyone will take advantage of those move-in times. Our cancellation deadline was last Friday, and so we are still processing cancellations. And until we have a completely accurate number of on-campus residents, we may need to do some reshuffling around move-in. Students will be able to sign up for a very specific time, and they will have several day options between August 18th and August 21st. It's going to be extra important this year that move-in dates and times are strictly adhered to. As we have planned, based on the number of students we believe we can move in every hour, we've planned based on occupancy and the distancing capacity of parking garages, of lobbies, and of elevators. Each student that's moving in will only be able to have one guest assisting them with move-in. Each guest will be required to wear a wristband that will help our desk staff identify who can be in the building. We respectfully ask that only one guest wears the wristband tightly. This is super important for the health and safety of the entire community and helps Loyola and Residence Life mitigate risk and keeps our process flowing and our foot traffic moving. We are going to be asking you, if at all possible, to take the stairs rather than using elevators, and to really pay attention to the directional signage. In addition, we are this year limiting the number of items that you can bring to those that will fit into one of our moving bins. I believe the dimensions of the bin were included in your mail, but in case you don't remember, it is 48 inches by 28 inches by about 50 inches deep. It's going to be also important that you have your ID. We did not have campus orientation on campus this summer, so you're probably thinking, I'm going to get to campus and I don't have my ID. We are going to be doing the majority of our check-in in tents, and at the tent on West Quad between Norville and the Damon Student Center, the campus card services will have a table where students will be able to get their IDs. I know that this is an incredibly stressful time for families. I know that I have heard and spoken with many parents who really want to be able to see their students' room. I'm going to encourage FaceTime. I'm going to encourage your student to show you how they've unpacked if you happen to be the family member who does not get to assist them with move-in. Now, we are adding some features that we think will be helpful in our move-in process. In your letter on Friday, and there are 3 different versions of a letter. So there are students who are under 50 miles from campus, students between 50 and 150 miles, and then students who are farther than that. If you happen to be close enough to campus and would like to make an appointment in the 2 weeks prior to the 17th, so that would be August 3rd through 7th and August 10th through 14th. You can make an appointment to come and drop belongings in a student room so that when you come back for your actual move-in, you aren't taking up lobby space, you aren't taking up elevator space, and you're not taking up bin space. At this time, you would not get your key, but you would have the room unlocked. You would be able to place your belongings in the room, and then the Residence Life staff would lock the room after. A couple of folks have also asked about, actually more than a couple, about how we are going to manage to do contactless check-in. Our goal is to hand you a quart-sized bag when you arrive. In that bag will be your room key, will be the 2 masks that Loyola is providing, will be a thermometer, will also be information from our food service vendor and from information technologies to help students assist to connecting with the Loyola Wi-Fi. So there's tons of information, tons of moving parts. We cannot wait to see you on campus, and we hope that your last several weeks with your students are really positive ones.
Thank you, Deb. I think you did a great job as far as talking about move-in. I know there are a lot of questions about that and about the quarantine, so thank you for being very thorough on answering that. Can you talk a little bit about what life is going to be like living in the dorms and any type of guest policy for the students?
Absolutely. So we will allow any Loyola University community member who has an active ID, and remember your ID needs to be visibly worn. You may visit one another in other residence halls. If you have friends who are living resumutors or commuters that perhaps you're meeting on in class online, they may also come to visit you. You may only sign in one guest at a time and only host one guest in your student room. All common areas, so that would include the lobby, the elevators, and hallways, you will need to have face coverings and masks on. As I said, initially lounges and kitchens will be closed, but we are hoping as the semester continues that we will be able to open some of those. Your initial engagement and programming with the staff, with the RA staff, and with the RDs. RDs are the full-time staff members with master's degrees who live in the residence halls and really provide guidance to the building. That engagement will also be virtual at the beginning. So look for opportunities to join floor group me's so that you can get information about the programs. Unfortunately, we will not be able to have outside guests, including family members, be signed into the residence halls, only members of the Loyola community.
Thank you, Deb. There's also been a couple questions about the food services and if you're living on campus or off campus, what that looks like. Do you mind telling a little bit more detail on that?
Absolutely. So we have been working really hard with our food service provider to ensure that every student that comes to campus or lives on campus receives meals that are both nutritious and delicious. Students will be asked to form socially distanced lines entering the dining halls. All food options will be packaged for grab and go ease. And because we are Loyola, they will all be in compostable containers. There will be some limited seating in the dining hall. So a student may be able to sit also for a limited time with some limited space, of course, with friends during the dining hall times. There will also be additional locations on campus that are not the dining halls where students can use their meal plan exchanges to also get grab and go food. Food for students in both quarantine and students who then, if you test positive for COVID and are placed in isolation, will be delivered directly to student rooms. Students can change their meal plan during the first 2 weeks of the term, but that's simply changing, not opting out. All first and second year students are required to have a meal plan. Juniors and seniors who live in on-campus apartments do have the capability this year of opting out of their meal plan, or perhaps they just want to purchase some dining dollars to have some flexibility to eat when they're on campus. Commuters can also purchase meal plans, and resumutors certainly. If you are at campus and you want to eat in any of the dining halls, or you want to eat at any of the other food areas like Bleecker Street in the Damon Student Center, your meal plan would allow you to do that as well.
Great, thank you, Deb. I really appreciate it. We have a couple questions on safety. And so, Will, I think I'm going to send this back to you for answering some of these questions, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Great. So the first one is, you know, a couple questions came in prior to that asked, with less students on campus, there was a perception that there'll be less security on campus. Can you talk a little bit about that and the security on campus and for our students on and off?
Absolutely. Campus safety has absolutely no plans, no anticipations with having less security on campus this fall, despite there being less people. Since we closed campus in March, they have not reduced any of their services or any of their staffing, and that's going to continue throughout the fall as well. They're going to continue their patrols for students who live off campus as well. So students who are living on campus and off campus can expect the same sense of security that they're accustomed to.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Will. Let's see, another question came in that asked, students who had not planned to live off campus are now going to do so. How does the campus safety support those students? In a little more detail?
Sure. Students who live within the boundaries, campus safety boundaries, can contact campus safety at any time for assistance. The number to reach campus safety is 773-508-7233. 7233 spells out safe, in case you want to remember it that way. 773-508-SAFE. So they can contact campus safety at any time for assistance. And the boundaries, by the way, at the Lakeshore campus includes Pratt. These are Chicago streets. Pratt to the north, Glenwood to the west, and to the south you have Glen Lake, and to the east you have the lake or Lake Michigan.
Thank you, Will. And then one other question about kind of the COVID-19 guidelines and enforcing guidelines for both on and off campus students. Can you talk a little bit more about that enforcement and what that looks like for our student population in our community?
Sure. The university is hoping to foster good citizenship amongst all members of the community. It will be everyone's responsibility to uphold all of the safety measures that will be in place. We're going to ask everyone for their cooperation. If someone is not cooperating, they should expect to be approached by someone and will be asked to comply. The university will consider all options to ensure full compliance, including the possibility of referring matters to the student conduct process for anyone who is repeatedly not complying with the rules, the new rules, once we come back.
Great, thank you. Just another one or two questions looking at our time this evening. If I live off campus, do I have to abide by the same health and safety rules?
The short answer is yes. If you recall earlier, Loyola is subject to city and state public health regulations. So in large part, what you're expected to do on campus, you're also going to be expected to do off campus.
And then along those lines, does that mean I can't have a party in my off-campus apartment? What does that look like for our off-campus resumutors?
That's a very important question, I'm sure. Students can have social gatherings in their apartments so long as they do so responsibly. Again, abiding by the regulations that are set by the city and the state. Also, and just as important, also keep in mind that students will be expected to honor any and all federal, state, and city laws and ordinances. For example, the city of Chicago has city ordinances, noise and trash ordinances, and their laws around the use and distribution of alcohol. Keep in mind, students, that what you do off campus also can be considered violations of the community standards. Now, also keep in mind that within the standards you have the good neighbor policy, where all students are expected to uphold any noise regulations or any noise policies within their community. One of the things that I always ask students when they're considering moving off campus is to introduce themselves to their neighbors. Ask the question, how can I be a good neighbor? I think by doing that, what you're going to experience is that everyone's different. There'll be individuals that will ask and share that they may have a baby, or they may be caring for someone, and they need things to be quiet after a certain time. When you do that, you become a great neighbor and you avoid any problems in the future.
Great, thank you, Will. As we go through, there's one question that I know had come up about the campus IDs and getting campus IDs. And I wanted to let families know that they can do their pictures online. That email went out recently too. So we'll continue to provide update information about that as well.
Great, thank you. Were there any other questions, Erin?
No, I think at this time we've kind of covered a lot.
Okay. I'd like at this moment to ask any of the panel members, now that we've covered a number of questions and other questions have come up in the Q&A function, if there's anything that they would like to add before we conclude our program today.
Well, this is Deb. I would like to just briefly address sort of what the definition of quarantine is going to be for students from the hotspot states.
That's a great point. Please do.
So I see in the chat that some people are wondering just what does it mean to be in quarantine. So the city of Chicago laid out what those guidelines are, and the city of Chicago has determined that you do not leave your residence while you are in quarantine. Now, I know for first-year students that feels like not the way that you want to be starting out your collegiate experience. And we agree. We want you to be able to walk along the lakefront, go into Madonna della Strada, go into the Information Commons. But unfortunately, you are going to have to stay inside your residence hall room unless, if and only, you share a bath. So if you are living in Campion, if you're living in Mertz, if you're living in DeNoble, if you're living in San Francisco, where you share a traditional bath with more than one individual, you do leave your room to use the bathroom, to take your shower, etc. But then you unfortunately do need to spend time in your room for those first 2 weeks. Certainly not the experience that you were hoping to have, but we want to be really upfront because we want to make sure that our community continues to stay as safe as possible and follow the guidelines of the city order.
Thank you, Deb. Are there any other panel members who would like to add any more information?
Well, there was one question about HALIS and the kind of the process of using HALIS. I'm wondering if someone can speak to that.
Hi, everyone. I'd be happy to talk a little bit more about that. I want to encourage everyone to go to the Campus Recreation website. There are updates on a daily basis being made as to how to register your slot to work out, what fitness classes are going to look like, and how to get in touch with folks with any additional questions. So there's a lot of information that goes with Campus Recreation, so definitely just check out the website.
Thank you, Marissa. While we still have you, Marissa, would you mind covering a little bit more regarding LU Community and what students can do and the benefits of registering with LU Community?
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you, Will. So LU Community is our online engagement platform for all of our organizations and our students on campus. So for our students, I know we have a handful of folks on the call today that are already involved in registered student organizations. That's where you'll be able to manage your organization internally. But as a general student, this is your place to go for joining an organization. You can actually search your organization by type. So we have several students who are involved and interested in joining organizations that are culturally grounded. We have students who are interested in joining honors organizations, students that are interested in joining sorority and fraternity life. You can actually search by category, so it's a little bit less intimidating, especially since we have over 200 organizations offered. Like I said before, this is also where you'll be able to register to vote and access other resources, along with those mentoring programs that a lot of our students are interested in that are hosted by Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs.
Thank you, Marissa. One last call for any other panel members that would like to add additional information.
There was one more question about the library and the Information Commons and what that looks like for students on campus. And I believe that is open 7 days a week, correct?
Yes, this is Deb. The IC, the Information Commons, or the library, as it's sometimes referred to, will have hours 7 days a week. Those hours, if you look on the Return to Campus website, you should be able to see what those hours are. But again, as I said, it is 7 days a week. Now, there will, of course, be distancing, so group study those group study rooms will likely not be open, but there'll be plenty of opportunities. The IC has some spacious rooms. Additionally, the fourth floor, which is this beautiful large space overlooking the lake, will be open for students to be able to use to study.
Erin, anything else?
No, I think we've covered a lot of what that campus experience is going to be like for students, in particular with the Wellness Center, on-campus activities, and residence life. I think there were a lot of questions about that.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you to all of the panel members. I'd like to now invite Jane Neufeld back for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Will. Wow, this is great. A lot of great information shared with us here this evening. Last spring, our students and faculty transitioned to online education, and we were able to successfully complete the semester. We weren't able to have commencement in person, which was a shame because we really wanted to have an opportunity to celebrate the class of 2020. Instead, we're going to be having a virtual commencement on August 8th. Again, while not ideal, through it all, everyone remembered what it means to be a Rambler. We're all in this together, and it's been really great to see. I've worked at Loyola for over 31 years. I've witnessed in the last 4 months the deep commitment and camaraderie of we're all in this together and a can-do attitude. I've been amazed by my colleagues and what they've been doing to try to make our campus safe for the Loyola community. Loyola is a very special place to me, and I hope it's a special place for you, or it becomes a special place. We will do everything we can to make your experience a positive one. I want to just end on a quick shout out to our very own Sister Jean. Sister Jean turns 101 on August 21st. She's doing well, and she's longing for the day when she can come back to her office in Damon Student Center, room 123. So happy birthday, Sister Jean. We love you. Okay, and now back to Will to share next steps and how we can learn more. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We hope this was helpful. We will have more opportunities to share and learn as we get closer to the fall term. Please direct additional questions to the COVID support email address. Visit the Return to Campus website frequently. As I mentioned previously, it will be updated on a regular basis. At this point, I'd like to ask students to take out your phones if you're watching with family, perhaps on a desktop, or be prepared to take a screenshot. In just a second, we're going to share a list of social media handles that you can take advantage of. There are too many for me to mention, so this would be a great time for you to take a picture or a screenshot. We're eager to continue the conversations. That concludes today's program. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that everyone has a great evening and good night.